Hi guys, welcome from Bulgaria. I'm Anton. Today, 10 minutes ago, I finished yet another chapter from this awesome book, C# in Depth, written by John Skeet. Probably you know him. He is like the top C# coder on Stack Overflow. And yeah, I got excited to finish yet another video from our xUnit tutorial using Selenium C#. In the previous modules, our course, we talked about what is xUnit, what are the advantages. Then I showed you how to set up xUnit project in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. And in our in today's xUnit testing.NET Core module, we're going to set up a project for running Selenium tests. And I'm going to show you many tips and tricks for Selenium and xUnit. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified about the next videos, and also check the channel for some other awesome videos from other top authors. So let's begin. I already opened Visual Studio, and again, I will create a new project. If you remember, we need to type xUnit test here, or from my recent projects, I can just click C# xUnit test project. I will name it Selenium test project. I'll use the default directory, but if you wish, you can change it. Here you can choose the .NET Core version. I will use the latest .NET 5. And just we need to wait a few seconds again from using this pre-configured templates. Visual Studio will add all of the reference that we need, all of the dependencies. If you scroll down here, all of the packages that you need for running xUnit tests. So you don't need to worry about this. But yet, let's discuss our demo website that we're going to automate. It's lambda test.github.io sample to-do app. So we're going to automate this application. It's an Angular application, so I'm quite excited. First, we need to install the dependencies for Selenium. So we open from here, manage NuGet packages. We go to browse and search for WebDriver. And we need to click Selenium WebDriver. Again, if you want to use the latest Selenium 4, you need to include pre-releases. And then from the drop-down, you will see here the alpha, here for version beta, the beta. However, we're going to use the latest stable version, which is 3.1. And we need to accept everything. As you can see, the NuGet package is installed. And now we need to rename our test. First, Selenium tests. And this will be our, for example, we can navigate to the page and verify the title. So I will mention it. Correct title displayed when navigate to homepage. Again, I usually use this convention where I mention the result and then what is the actual condition for this. This is a really nice convention for unit testing, but I found out that this is really awesome for UI tests as well. So if you recall, we need to use this fact attribute to mention that a particular method is a test. This is the only thing that you need for xUnit. In other frameworks like MSTest and NUnit, you need much more attributes, but this is one of the advantages for xUnit. And now we need to declare the driver. The driver is, the class that basically controls the browser. So this package that we installed, the WebDriver, we need to add this using OpenQA Selenium. This is the general interface for controlling for the driver and for controlling the browsers. And as you know, the private variables, the best convention is to start with underscore. So declare it like this. For in xUnit, in order to execute a code before each test, we can initialize a constructor. In other test frameworks such as NUnit and MS Test, we usually use another methods called test initialize or test cleanup to execute before the test, but here we use just a simple constructor. So here we need to start the proper browser. In our case, I will just initialize a Chrome driver. Basically, this will start the Chrome browser. In order this to work, the architecture of Selenium is as follows. We use the C# library or Java binding or another language, which behind the scenes calls the so-called driver, which is like a server who communicates with the proper browser. In this case, this will be Chrome. But in order this to happen, we need to download the proper driver and place it into our bin folder when we rebuild the project. You can, of course, do it manually. You can, for each browser, there is a dedicated project who is responsible for maintaining these drivers. In the last few years, actually, the actual browser vendors are responsible for this. So if you navigate to ChromeDriver, chromium.org, this is the project responsible for developing the Chrome driver, or this is the server for controlling the browser, Chrome. There is another project called GeckoDriver. This is the driver for Firefox. It's a GitHub repo, part of Mozilla. There is an Opera Chromium driver for Opera. There is one for Internet Explorer driver. And also there is a dedicated page for the latest version of Edge. Actually they switch, if probably you know, they switch to using the Chromium engine. But there is a dedicated channel here, Microsoft Edge Developer. However, it will be tedious every time to go and download the specific version of the driver for the particular version of your browser. They need to be equal, right? If you use Chrome version 91, you need to download the proper driver for it. However, it's not a good practice to basically add all of this to your source code, and nobody does that, right? In .NET, basically, there are two ways, best practices. Again, we go to manage NuGet packages, and we can search for WebDriver Chrome. And here, with the most downloads here, you can see 18 million downloads. There is a Selenium WebDriver Chrome driver. This is the package responsible when we install it. As you can see here, the version is equal to the version of the driver and your browser. They need to match. I'm going to install it. Also, this is really awesome NuGet package because it will detect on which operating system you are working right now, and it will download the proper version. Because if we navigate here, you will see that there are different basically executables depending on the operating system. But this NuGet package is responsible for downloading the correct one. If we rebuild our project, you will notice here, when it's rebuilt, actually the this driver executable, the Chrome driver, will be automatically copied, downloaded, and copied to your bin folder. Here it is, Chrome driver executable. Behind the scenes, when you call the Chrome driver, basically this process will start, and the code will communicate with the server who will be responsible to communicate with the browser. Otherwise, the tests will fail. So another thing that we can do here is we want our browser to be started maximized. Of course, you can do that. We need to use the manage methods, and then we have the window interface, and then we can say maximize. And what else we can do? We need to navigate to the URL. And again, I will just copy here the URL of our test application. And here I use the navigate methods and then go to URL. This will navigate to the page. And the simplest test, as I said, that we can do is to verify the title. So I can say assert equal. Usually we paste the sample, the expected result. In our case, this is sample page lambda-test.com. And I can use the driver to get the current page title, or this is basically the thing displayed in the tab. Here, if I hover, you will see this sample page lambda-test.com. So I will use the title property. And again, if we go to the test explorer, again, if you don't remember where it is, from test, you can go to test explorer. If we scroll down, you will see our test here. And if I run it, again, behind the scenes, the ChromeDriver executable is started. Here it is. We assert the title. However, there is one problem. The browser was left open, and this is happening because we didn't mention and we didn't instruct the Selenium to close it. In order to do that, we can use another feature of xUnit. Again, we don't use attributes for this, basically to execute logic after the test, but here we need to implement the so-called IDisposable attribute interface. Here we click implement, and as you can see, Visual Studio generated this dispose method for us. I will use the normal syntax, and here we need to mention driver which will close our browser. Again, in MS test or xUnit, we execute this in tear down or test cleanup methods, and we need to place on top of them special attributes. But here it's much simpler. And again, I'm going to run my test. Here is the browser, and it was closed. Another way how you can do this without using the dispose, if I delete this, and actually probably we don't need this here, so I will just comment it, is if you use a using statement. In this using statement, we can say var or iWebDriver, no problem, iWebDriver driver equal to new ChromeDriver, and then we can move this code here. We need just to, since this is not a private variable, but local variable for the method, it's not written with underscore. And this will work as well. Basically, after the using statement, after it, since iWebDriver is implementing the IDisposable interface, automatically it will close the browser. So let's run it again. It was closed, and now it's passed. Now, in the latest version of C#, there was an improvement of this using statements, and actually we can remove these brackets here and this here. We can say var, and as you can see, the test got much shorter, and this will work as well. If we, as you can see, it was opened and then closed. And now, if I want to use Firefox instead, I need to install the Firefox driver, right? The NuGet package, if you remember. You need to be careful, always install the NuGet packages with most downloads. So I search for Firefox, WebDriver Firefox. As you can see, there is a GeckoDriver and there is the Firefox WebDriver. I will install this one. Now, if we go here, we can change this to Firefox driver. And if we rebuild, you will see that unable to delete file. And this is happening if I open my task manager. This happened because the first time my ChromeDriver wasn't closed. If we search, you will see that this process has been left. We need to kill them first because basically Visual Studio, because they're still in use, the bin folder cannot be deleted, so you need to do this manually. This happens a lot when you debug something and forget to execute the dispose. So you need to be careful. And when we rebuild, and if we open again the folder, if we navigate to bin debug.NET 5, you will see that we have the two drivers, and we now have the GeckoDriver, which is responsible for managing the Firefox. And if we start again the test, you'll see here Firefox will pop up. Firefox is a little bit slower to start. Here it is. We navigate, we check the title, and the browser is closed. Now, however, as you can see, there is one big problem. Every time when there is your browser is updated automatically, you need to update your dependencies as well. And sometimes when you basically on your machine, you can have one browser version, your colleague may have another. When you execute your test in continuous integration on the build machines, there will be other versions, and this might be a huge problem. In order to solve this and also not to install all of these packages by hand, we can utilize another cool project. It's called WebDriverManager. Probably some of you, if you have worked with Java, this is original Java project. This WebDriverManager, there is this NuGet package here, WebDriverManager. We're going to install it. It will be responsible for downloading the correct version of the drivers, matching your current version of the installed browsers, which is really cool. Also, there is one huge another advantage is that, for example, for the Opera driver, there isn't such a NuGet package that it's maintained over time. In order to use it, we need driver manager. Here it is. We need to add this using WebDriverManager, right? And then there is this setup driver method. And inside of it, we can use the following thing. If you're not sure, you can check their awesome in their resources under the video. I will here it is, WebDriverManager. In the description below, you will find all of the resources that I mentioned in the video, and you can check it. And here on their official GitHub project page, there are a lot of examples how to use it. But basically, you need to use, it's just single line of code. Here, you need to use the setup driver, and then Chrome. For each browser, there is additional configuration class. In our case, we need Chrome config. We need to add the using to WebDriverManager driver config. And as I mentioned, by default, it will install just the latest version of the driver that it's published. However, as I said, I want to be able to use the matching version of the driver for particular machine where I run the tests. We can configure that through version resolve strategy argument. Again, I need to add the using. And then I added using two WebDriverManager helpers, right? And then I need to mention matching browser, which is really, really cool. And if I again open the bin folder and delete everything, again, I will delete the previously downloaded drivers, so that I'm sure that it will be downloaded. As you can see, I basically removed the previously installed Firefox and Chrome dependency. And if we rebuild the project, and if we run the test again, this will use Chrome, and it will download the correct version. However, as you can see here, I missed to delete the Firefox again. Second, actually, we needed to change here this to ChromeDriver. And the correct version of the Chrome was used, and the test is green. Another cool thing that I wanted to show you is actually how we can run our tests in headless mode. What is the headless? Headless is actually a browser without the UI, and it's getting more and more popular, especially for continuous integration systems such as GitHub Actions. In order to configure your Chrome to be run in headless mode, we need Chrome options plus Chrome options equal to new Chrome options. Again, you can use var, and there is a special method called add arguments. You can add many other options that are specific to the current browser, in this case, Chrome, and you can say headless. This will run this in headless mode. We need just to provide these Chrome options here to the constructor of the ChromeDriver. If we run it, as you can see here, there will be no browser because it's running in the background, which is really, really awesome. Now, let's create another more, I want to show you some attributes in xUnit. So I will just copy this test class. And we are going to create more advanced scenario for our tests, right? I will use now the thing that I showed you previously with the constructor and the IDisposable interface, instead of using the using statement. I will move this initialization to the constructor. I'm not going to run the browser in headless mode. And here, we're going to initialize just the underscore driver. Now, we navigate first to the page, and we need to find some elements and interact with it, right? Now, I want to type a birthday, and then I want to check it and verify that the correct text is displayed. In order to do that, first, you can inspect directly in Chrome, in the so-called developer tools. We can check the HTML, right? And as you can see, this is a text input, and usually the best case is to use the ID. And we're going to find the element. As you know, in WebDriver, we have the web element interface for representation of the elements. So this will be our to-do input. And then we use the driver find element method in order to find the element. And there is a special class called by, which has a static method called ID, where we need to mention the ID, how we are going to find the elements. This is through the developer tools, how we find it. Then we need to use the same keys method to, as you can see here, we can mention the text, right? In our case, I'm going to create a new, basically a new date, birthday, a new birthday date. Birthday is equal to new date time. This is a special class in .NET for working with date and times. And there is a special constructor where I can mention first the year, then the month, and then the day. As you can see here, you can check the constructor, and with the arrows, you can see the different other constructors. And now there is another thing that we are going to do. Basically, we can format this to a date similar to this one. Right now, my current culture of my machine is set to United States. So I can say birthday. Right now, this is a date time, so we can use it. We cannot use it for typing the text. We need to convert it to text. So I can use the to string. And if I open the, as you can see, the basically this is called a formatter for the date. You can see that Visual Studio is really smart, and it shows the different options. Long date with a lot of examples, right? And actually, I'm going to use this short date, which is just the month, the day, and the year. This is the US formatting, which is, as I said, the current culture. And this will be the thing that we're going to type. And now we need to click the add button. Here, the add button. Again, the add button, we're going to click it through ID. We can directly use the var. So this will be add button equal to underscore driver find element by dot ID. Add button click. This is how we click on a particular element. And we need to make some kind of an assertion, right? For example, if I add this one, this is just a random year. We need to find first this checkbox. So I will inspect it. As you can see, this is Angular. So we have this attribute ng-repeat. And if I click Control F, I can search directly here into the HTML, but I also can test expat locators. And I'm going to write my own expat. We start always with these two slashes. And then I want to find li, and I want to find it by, when we use the at, we can mention the name of the attribute. In this case, this will be ng-repeat. And as you can see, Chrome found 6 items. And I can say we want the input, right? So I can just say input. Here it is. And how we are going to approach this, actually, we're going to say var, and here we are going to say to do checkboxes. We're going to find all of them, because the driver exposes this find elements method, and we can search here by the special XPath that we already created. This will find 6 elements, and we need to get the last one of them. Because as you can see, if we hover, this returns a collection, read-only collection of iWeb elements. In C#, we can get the latest, the last element if we use part of the .NET. It has a special library called link, which has a really nice method called last. I just need to add a using to this system link. This will return the last element from the collection. And there I can just say click. This will click the checkbox. And if we want to, as I said, in order this to be a proper test, we want to verify the text here, which is actually the span beneath the input. So I can just basically modify a little bit the XPath to say span, which will, and again, we can use the same approach. So I can say var to do infos equal to driver find elements by dot XPath. And again, we can use the same approach using link this method last. And I can assert it, assert equal. In our case, we added this special year, right? So I can say the expected date should be 10/20/1999. Last. And in order to get the text, we can use the text property. Let's see what will happen if we rebuild and run the test. Another cool approach is just to place here in the search the name of the test. If we press enter, here it is. Actually, we can rename this to proper checkbox selected. Here it is. And let's see what will happen when we run the test. Again, we are going to use Chrome. Here it is. And as you can see, we basically added it, we checked it, and for some reason, the test failed. Yeah, we didn't implement the dispose. I forget to do this. And here we just need to mention driver put. As I said, I wanted to show you some other cool attributes part of xUnit. For example, imagine that there was a bug in our test. For example, if the test failed for some reason here because the error wasn't correct. Now the test will be right. Here it is. And this is a bug in our application. If we want to mark it, we can skip it in the next one because it was associated to a bug. There is a bug. Jira ID equal to JI something. And next time when we try to run this test, it will basically be skipped, right? And marked as skipped. This is one way how you can do it. Another thing that you can do is that you can install another NuGet package. It's called skipable_fact. This skipable_fact NuGet package can help you to, for example, sometimes you want to fail the test with the, when you know that it's a real bug, like right now. But sometimes there will be some more general stuff like missing driver or whatever. And this can help you to mitigate this thing. For example, if you recall the problem with the driver when we haven't installed the proper version, we can say skipable_fact driver service not found. If we delete here this, and if we don't use Chrome, but for example, Opera, we don't have the Opera driver, right? And we can say Opera driver. And now, if we use just the facts attribute, this will basically fail with the driver not found exception, right? Because we didn't basically install the proper NuGet package. Here it is. It failed with this exception, driver service not found. And if we change it to skippable fact, now if we run it, the test will be marked as skipped, which is really awesome. Yet another thing that we can do is imagine that you want to categorize the tests when we run them through command line, as I showed you in the previous video, in the previous module, in our xUnit tutorial for beginners. We can use another attribute, which is called a trait. Here it is. I will remove that now, the skip. The trait is basically an attribute that allows you to add any random metadata to the test. But later, we can, if we rebuild the project, if you recall how we ran it before from the command line, here it is. I will open just the command line in the current folder. You can write just cmd. And as you can see, we are just in the proper folder. And now, if we run just .NET test, this will run all of our tests. But we want to, sometimes for continuous integration, we want just to run a few tests that are marked with particular category or particular priority. In order to do that, we can use the .NET test filter, and you can use this trait attribute with any metadata that you put into the first place. And then the second thing is the second option that you gave it. And let's run it. Again, .NET test command is responsible for downloading all the NuGet packages and everything. And as you can see, we ran only a single test and it failed, which is cool. I mean, right now I made the test fail. Another thing that we can do, another really cool attribute, is the option for retrying the tests. In order to be able to do that, I'm going to show you another awesome repository that you can download, which is called samples xUnit. I already downloaded it. Again, you will find all the resources in the description. This samples xUnit gives you the possibility of how to extend the xUnit, how to use all the different attributes that we won't have the time to talk about. Here it is. I already downloaded it, right? It has 20 projects. It has a lot of running examples. But one of the attributes that I want to show you is actually the sample with this RetryFact. This will help you, this custom attribute will help you to retry the test a few times if the first time the test failed. As you will notice, if we try directly to use this in our tests, we won't be able to do that. There isn't a using statement because this is a custom thing that people from xUnit built here. And we need to basically copy paste this RetryFact discoverer, the attribute, and the message in the retry test case. These are the three things that we need to copy paste. The way you do it is just we navigate to the folder. It's really easy in .NET Core. We need to copy these 4 files, and I will just need to paste them in our project. Here, I will just create a folder, customizations, and here I will place a folder retry. And I will just copy my default namespace and I will change this one, right? Here, I will just need to change the XML test case discoverer. We're not going into details what they did. Basically, we just want to have access to this retry test case attribute, right? Also, they used some other syntax, a shorter syntax for some of the statements. I'm going to follow my high quality code standards here. And now, since this is a retry fact, I need to comment the fact one. And basically this test will be retried 2 times, but you can increase the thing, which is really awesome. This is another really cool attribute that you can use, that it's really helpful for Selenium tests in order to mitigate these flaky tests and sometimes to make them more stable. And another cool feature, again, that it's really a problem for Selenium testing is when we need to handle dates in web testing, and not only in mobile testing and whatever. But since this is Selenium tutorial, I'm going to talk about the dates here. So as you know, if we go here to the sample project, as you can see here, there is this use culture attribute, which is really awesome. Sometimes there are many sites that use many languages, and we need to check them on the specific language change. But also this is especially cool for again formatting the dates, because the formatting of the dates, for example, in United States and here in Bulgaria is totally different. And again, in order to use this, I just need to copy this attribute here and place it in my customization folder. And I will mention this culture. Again, I'm just going to change the default namespace. Oh, actually, it doesn't have one. So here we can use the use culture, and I can place it here. And now we're going to use for this test Vɪᴅᴇᴏ culture. Let's run it, and you will see that basically it will fail because we are going to format the dates in a totally different way. In some of the next modules, we're going to talk about, as you can see, the actual formatting was this one, which is coming from the Vɪᴅᴇᴏ culture, right? And if I change it right now, this will basically use the current Bulgarian culture, which is really, really awesome. And one last thing, sometimes, again, I don't suggest you to do so, but sometimes it's necessary to run the tests in particular order. In order to do that, if we go again to the samples, you will see that there is here test order examples. And basically, in order to do that, xUnit, as I mentioned into the advantages, they allow you to use this ITest case order interface, but you don't need to implement it yourself. We can just copy paste these classes here. And this will allow us to be able to order our tests and run them in particular order, which is really, sometimes it's useful for web testing, ordering. And again, I will copy paste them. I already copied the namespace, so I'm going to change it everywhere. We need to change it here. So you can basically, you can order the test by alphabet or by priority. I'm going to show you how you can use priority. And here is the test priority attribute. In order to use it, you just need to, here, you need to say test priority 0. And if we have a second test, we can mention a bigger number, and basically the smallest number will run first, right? This is how it works. So many really awesome things. Don't forget to subscribe for the channel. Again, check the description for finding all the resources and for the code. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, check out the videos. Also, you can go to the awesome blog of Lambda Test. As I said in previous videos, there is really 2 great articles about xUnit, really long, really detailed. You can check the community and you can get a certification. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video of our xUnit.NET Core series. Thank you.